afternoon, everyone. I am Sonali Kumar, your host for today evening. And Maharashtra welcomes you all for the third edition of the community program. The community program is a annual competition that showcases the best and the brightest of the young research talent, promoting data, research, and insights in service of societal changes. I promise you that the next 1.5 hours are going to be exciting with some thought-provoking discussions, and the announcement of the winners is something that all here to celebrate. So, without any delay, I will call upon Sauri Shah, Global VP and Head, CMO and Service Center of Service Excellence for Beverage Consumer Products. He's also serving on the MRSI Managing Committee as Vice President. Over to Sauri.
Thank you, Sonali. MRSI is a unique, dynamic, and a non-profit autonomous market research body formed in 1928. MRSI aims to guide, encourage, and uphold the highest quality standards of professionalism for all those who use, read, generate, or analyze and interpret insights data in the research and insight industry. It is a platform that brings marketing professionals and insights professionals together and instills a code of conduct that should be followed in the research and insight industry in India and showcases the developments and innovations that take place. We are privileged to have with us today Devi Basu, one of the founding fathers of social research in India and MRSI Lifetime Achievement Award winner in 2021. He's also been a mentor to me in my early career life. The community program known as TCP aims at harnessing the ideas, skills, and energy of the young research professionals towards a social cause. They partner with NGOs, making available to them insights in research and insights and helping them to enhance the impact of their respective cause to the community. Started in 2018, Karan Sabnis was the winner of TCP, who joins us as a jury panel member today. You will soon hear more details on participants and their causes. My colleagues from the previous and current managing committee, Rankor Chakravarti, CEO of DataWise, and Farijat Chakraborty, country lead public affairs and corporate reputation Ipsos, have ably steered the project and selection of the winner this year, which was chaired by Rankor. This team was supported by the MRSI Secretariat team led by Sonali Kumar and her colleagues Diana Munaru, Head of Marketing and Member Services, and Mithali Chauhan, Director General. Special thanks to our event partner Nielsen Media, whose support to the community project is much appreciated. The TCP program contributes to the huge expertise of the research and insights fraternity in the social and development sector. This social research discipline has supported agendas in India for more than 50 years, passionately identifying key behavioral change triggers, measurement of trends and improvement, and much more. We kick off the first segment of our event with three eminent speakers in a panel discussion on the role of research and insights in nation building. Thanks, and hope to have an exciting session ahead.
Thank you, Soren. Today's topic of discussion, the panel discussion, the role of research and insights in nation building is a very relevant topic. And I do hope that going forward, this is going to be strengthening our collaboration with the larger industry. So I will now welcome Farijat Chakravarti to answer the first segment of our video.
Thanks, Sonali. It's really a great honor, a great pleasure, great privilege to really have esteemed panelists that we have today and discuss a topic like this. May I request all the panelists to come on screen. Just waiting for one more. Okay, let's start. And let me first introduce our great panelists today before getting into the topic. Start with Mr. Devi Basu. As the whole industry knows him as the Elda. He has been always, one of the greatest name in the whole industry. He has led and formed several organizations, work both in the commercial research as well as social sector research, work in the space of social research and public research, with ministries, both in state and the central level, work with entities like World Bank, United Nations, and so and so. And he was also awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award of MRSI last year. Welcome, David. I can't see Vinay sir here. Okay. Next, let's introduce Mr. Dibendra Sharma. As one ex-IAS. Hello, sir. He has handled several important portfolios in his almost 35 years long career in civil service. Some of the key highlights, the departments that he has headed as the secretary, the Department of Panchayat and Rural Development, SSG, SC. He has also steered NREGA in West Bengal for 7 years. He was also a mission director of Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin, and so on. So we are going to get enriched by a vast career and that entire pleasure is ours. Let me go to Ms. Alka Malhotra. She is the communication for development specialist in UNICEF, and she's been working in this space of social and behavioral changes across different initiatives in India as well as at the states. Welcome, Ms. Malhotra. And let me introduce Dr. Pooja Shegar, who is the country lead for health and nutrition communications in Gates Foundation. She has worked across digital, brand, health, non-health communications, and etc. In her current role, she supports the health and nutrition communication for the foundation's work in India, both at the center as well as state level. Welcome, Dr. Shegar. I can't see Vinay Jha from Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Any confirmation? If she is how do we proceed? Not able to. Maybe you can try and you can join somewhere in between. So, all right, let's get into the topic. What an interesting topic that we have today. Yeah, our industry is rightfully proud of all the contributions that we make to the life of both the commercial sector as well as social and public sector. So we decided to pick up this topic and get an understanding from the Indian panelists that we have that how we are contributing as an industry in overall endeavor of building a society with a better nation. Are we living up to the expectations that our clients have? There are areas where we might have to do that ourselves, and there could be areas where we can do even better. Though we are maybe doing good and great. As the first part of this panel discussion, I'd like to understand first from each of the panelists where their specific views to this topic, and then we'll get into a more of a discussion. Let me start with Devi Basu, who is representing the industry in this panel. Devi, you have several roles in your career, and you have seen the entire industry emerging from what was maybe 4 years back, 4 decades back, sorry, and what it is today. And I'm sure a lot of things have evolved. How do you see the industry has played the role in the overall development of the society, development of the nation? What do you think? Yes, we can hear them. David, can you hear us?
I can't hear anything.
Oh.
Nothing wrong. It says computer audio, but I can't hear anything.
We can hear you.
Sorry?
Is that the problem with other also?
No, we can hear you. We can hear you and as well as Devida. No issues.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
I hear very little. Actually, anyway, doesn't matter. As long as you can hear me, it's okay.
Yes.
Is that Parijat standing there?
Yes.
Because of my computer is showing Mitali.
Oh yeah, it's logged in as Mitali. That's why it's showing as Mitali. So everybody comes under the screen will be Mitali. So Devita, we'll start with you and would like to understand, get your views. As you have seen this industry growing, evolving over the last few decades, how we are playing a role of towards that building of a better society, building of a better nation. Would like to hear a couple of minutes from you. What do you?
Parijat, as you mentioned, four decades, which means I'm an old person, right?
No experience,
In my,
not old.
I started the division in the mode in as way back in 1988, and so it's many years, and so I have handled, I don't know, maybe 100+ projects for UNICEF, World Bank, DFID, USAID, SIDA, UNFPA, UNDP, many, and many state government and central government projects. So when I came into the picture, it was that monolith called ORG, which was
Yeah.
dominating everything in the government sector, especially. And the orientation of so-called social research was largely demographic and statistical. It was not so much of analytical. What I perhaps did was I brought in the element of analytics, not in the sense of mathematical analytics, but uh, uh, analysis of the problem, etc., and and uh, and brought in the concepts of consumer research. I basically come from consumer research into social research, into social uh, communication, social development projects, etc., which initially was a difficult one to convince my clients, but slowly and slowly we were successful and we became one of the largest social research division then. ORG, of course, was taken over by uh, uh, finally became Nielsen, and you had at that time, you had Ashish Panigrahi came into Nielsen and made into a complete social research division, which was not only doing demographic and statistical work, but also was doing analytical work, diagnostic work, let me say.
So that
Uh, that
we have a
was not in
question here.
house, and it has now become uh, quite a lot, as it should be. It's more of diagnostic, more of communication research, analysis, and but huge amount of billing, of course, is in the demographic sector.
Exactly.
That's it.
So
So there's a lot of change has gone.
lot of change has happened. I'm sure, in your opinion, that in the last 4 decades or so, we have been able to live up to the expectation, at least most of the areas as the industry. I'd like to hear from Mr. Dibendu Sharkar, who, because of so many portfolios that you have handled, sir, you would have seen over this, the few decades of your career, how different information flow and the insights can really help the government servants take the right decision, right policy, right steps. So what's your opinion about the topic of today, sir?
In fact, in the government sector, the kind of research that these market research organizations or social research organizations do inform policy as well as influences practices. So from both the point of view, this is very important. Just I can give you, and naturally this ultimately results in some kind of a course correction as we go along. Based on the research findings that came out, maybe we make certain corrections in our flow of events, in our modus operandi, and that is why we go about. Say I give you a specific example. Say NIDGA, you all know, 100 days program, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee scheme. I'm talking about the scheme. So if you talk of that scheme, it has the largest database in the country. In fact, it is touted to be the second largest database in the world after the US US Home Department. So that way it's a huge database. But in most of the cases, what happens, this database is portal driven, MIS driven, and entered by the field functionaries. So the nuances never come. So it's basically a dry data, which helps us, positively helps us. But what I'm saying is that such a huge database doesn't give me an insight into why people, the job seekers, are not getting job on demand. So that kind of data can only come out when a research agency goes to the field, talks to the people, and brings that out. What Devida has spoken about, the analysis part, so that becomes very important. In fact, what I would like to just point out, that data, behind every number there's a face which is usually unknown. So that face is brought up, we cannot bring about that face from the database that we usually generate. But the research, where the researcher goes to the field, that finally brings out the face, the person behind the number, and her trials and tribulations. So that is where the sector contributes.
Fantastic. Very, very nicely put, sir. Because there are differences that the sector can play, the sector can do, and can really make a dry database live and make it for the purpose for a better society, better nation. Let's go to Ms. Alka Malhotra, and this is one area where whatever we do for the society, whatever actions, implementations we do, unless we are making some changes in our behavior, the behavior of the whole overall population, no initiative is successful. So the requirements or the play our kind of research and insight industry can play for social and behavioral communication related research is quite different from the role it can play for other applications. I'd like to hear from Ms. Malhotra. How do you see this industry is playing a role in the overall endeavor that you are up to?
I can't hear you. I think yours is muted. You just unmute it.
Okay, yes, you can hear me now.
Yes.
Yes, now we
So in the space of behavior change, we actually rely on research along the continuum. So starting from the point of what people are doing, which is what we call a knowledge attitude practice study, onto why they're doing things, which is a qualitative aspect of understanding the reasons for certain behaviors. We call it formative. Onto who they listen to, part of formative. Who is the influencer? How would you draw a social network map? Who do people really have faith in? Onto what we want to change. So even understanding people's points of view to the kind of change that we want to make is involved research. So I would say that along the continuum of social and behavior change, research is one that goes from the beginning to what people are currently doing, what do they know, onto why they're doing what they're doing, who do they listen to, and the entire design of the strategy is dependent on research. And then that means that we are actually working with, in partnership with the market of research agencies in different roles, from a quantitative assessment onto a qualitative kind of participatory methodologies wherein we can draw insights, draw perceptions, and use that to test what we are saying. So if we've done research on the situation, then we develop something, understanding the whys, then we would go to testing to see if this really works. So research and the industry of market research actually stays with social and behavior change along the continuum. A lot of researchers are consumer researchers, so you really want to understand from a consumer point of view. But when you're talking about social and behavior change, we're talking about people-centered research, where we want to get into, we don't have a product to sell, or we may have an action to sell, which is like a product, but then how would you test whatever is being developed so that it results in the behavior change that you want to see? That's what I'd say at this point in time.
May I add a little bit here? May I?
Yes, please.
Farida?
Yes, please.
You said there is no product. Two things. Of course, condom is a product. So social marketing of condom will be very much up your street. We did a huge project in Bangladesh which markets the Raja condom, which is the largest selling condom in the world. And there, of course, we had put in a lot of inputs which resulted in increase in sale of Raja. And the second point I want to say is that you have not covered the one important area, the social media selection, which is obviously has to be completely different from consumer research.
Correct, and that's
Yes.
where the who part of it becomes very important. And of course, analytics in the social media space now is another one.
Yes, absolutely. As we see, very few decades back, there was only traditional research, so-called consumer research, evolving, dovetailing to other kinds of research, including social and public sector research. Lots of cross-fertilization of ideas and knowledge has really happened. But as we have seen over a period of time, new age areas of the industry has evolved, be it social media related, be it pure analytics, be it tech-based research. All these different avenues of research, new age part of the research has only enhanced the overall capacity or what the research and insight industry can do for us. Let's hear from Dr. Pooja Sehgal, because he handles a portfolio which is as large as health and nutrition, and we know how vast this thing can be, and it is also the communication around that involves or entails a lot of different multimedia communication. It's not necessarily just a traditional communication. So would you like to hear from you, ma'am? So what do you see the role of the overall research and insight industry, including traditional as well as the new, in that endeavor that you have to?
Sure, thanks, Parijat. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
All right, great. I think it's interesting that we are having this discussion today because today more than ever before, we're looking at not just data in terms of, hard numbers, but actually the intelligence from data, the learning from the data, the implications of that data in terms of what is it that we're trying to achieve. So it's all good to say, hey, we're trying to do better healthcare services for people. Does that mean new hospitals? Does that mean access to digital medicine and telemedicine, which is becoming a big thing? Does that really mean, access to doctors? Does it mean access to drugs? Does it mean access to diagnostics? What is it that's really missing, right? And to be able to really understand and drill down, I think everybody's referred to the need to actually speak to the beneficiaries, speak to your target audience, understand their drivers, their context, what's really inhibiting them from taking the action that you need them to take. And then sort of come back and design your program, your communication, your policy intervention to say, you know, X will lead to Y because we've understood this context. Because out of context to make assumptions, and also, you know, now more than ever before, we've also seen this whole element of you can't take a concept that has been applied in a different part of the world and copy paste it in a different part of the world, right? You can't take something that works for urban metro India and assume that the same piece, the same product, the same communication strategy, the same solution will work for rural India, for example, right? Aspirations might be similar, and that's what insights tell us. Some of the expectations around quality will be similar, and that's again something that insights tell us, right? Because you need to sort of go deeper to really have a dialogue with the community, a conversation with the audiences to say, let me tailor the solution for you, because it's only then that you will see the point that Alka was making around actual behavior change will only happen when you understand my behavior, not because you know you're XYZ and an expert on something and you know this is a good behavior to follow, right? So I think in many ways research gathering insights has become very core to you know all of these efforts with regards to creating some sort of a development or social impact. I mean, the private sector has been doing it for years, and I think what we missed for some time in the public sector and the social sector really was to hear from the audiences, make it sort of and you know outside in, develop that perspective, and then take the messaging, the programs to audiences, and then expect them to change. That change has really started to happen, and it's not something which is happening today. It's been happening for the past few years, where you're tailoring your messaging, you're customizing your messaging. You know, I mean, I don't get a newsletter saying hi all, right? I get a newsletter saying dear Pooja, right? Customizing it for me and then sort of making sure that I will read it because it's come to me for myself. And like I said, private sector has been doing it for a bit, um, and has been pretty successful as well. And that's the same philosophy that you're starting to see in the health space, in the healthcare space. Even when you look at, for example, COVID and the entire pandemic messaging that happened, whether you're talking to a particular tribal community, or you're speaking with the youth audiences, or you're speaking with senior citizen audiences, tailoring of the message, tailoring of the media, tailoring of the mechanism with which messages will reach them have had a huge role to play in terms of just getting them to sort of follow certain behaviors and you know take preventive actions. So I think it's become core more than anything else, and will continue to be a very, very key driver for how we look at making large scale social impact happen on ground.
Great. Happy to know that it's now a core. It's no more an optional thing, which used to be maybe a few decades back. And we do this great job of bringing in outside in view. We are in a way the passengers of the organization, where we're picking up what's going on in the in the market, in different states and different cities and all, and then bringing that insights which helps take better decision at your end. And in this context, let me introduce Mr. Vinay Jha. Hello, Vinay sir. Can you hear us? Yeah. So, Mr. Vinay Jha is the director of Swachh Bharat Mission. We all know how important cleanliness is for India, and we have, in the last few years, we have really crossed quite a few milestones for that matter. And it is his department of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs which actually decides on the strategy, that mobilizes, funds and actions, and also conducts very large-scale, mega-scale research projects, which covers thousands of cities. Yeah, I mean, some of my global colleagues fail to understand how a country can have thousands of cities. I mean, that's the beauty of India, and this is what Vinay sir and the team really heads up, and some of these very large scale studies like structure survection, ODF, stimulating the cities and all, which helps getting that outside in view into the system. So, sir, we'd like to hear from you how for your this role, how the research and insights, playing what kind of role according to you. What do you say?
Yeah. First of all, Parijatji, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I'm Vinay Jha. I'm a director here in Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, looking after the Swachh Bharat Mission Urban. So it's just in a nutshell. I want to give you detail about Swachh Bharat Mission Urban, what we are doing and how we are implementing in the whole country. So over the 8 years, we have heard. I don't know. I think I want to learn from the other analysts whether the foreigners coming to the country, they have given us the feedback that country is looking little cleaner nowadays. I don't know how far is correct, but for this, what we are doing annual assessment every year, where all our cities, we have 4,800 cities in our country, and we do Swachh Sarvekshan. Swachh Sarvekshan is one of the world's biggest survey by any single assessment agency, where the feedback of around approximately in a range of crores data points, crores to 5 crore data points are taken, churned out, and this facilitates us to take the data-driven decision. So as Dr. Pooja was telling that we have to be now it's analytics and smart analytics. So I just want to tell you, for the mission like Swachh Bharat mission, which is a $20 billion project to be completed in on a mission mode in next 5 years, we have a lot of challenges like the protocols, how we are proceeding. So first of all, we have standardized our protocols. It means the definition of a open defecation free is the same for the Orissa, Bihar, and Tamil Nadu. The garbage free city protocol, so we have made some protocol. It is the definition is same for every state, every city. So that standardization we brought in, and now who qualifies this? For this, the which city is following that standards? We deploy assessment agency every year. It's approximately around we spent approximately 50 crore of rupees on this assessment. So where all our cities, cities are assessed for garbage free. Garbage free means what is your waste generation, how much you are processing, how much of the waste is going to landfills, how what you are doing for the waste, how it is being converted, where it is going. The whole value chain is captured, and everything is digital. Because for the mission of this magnanimity, if we not follow the digital component, then our everything will be the half-hearted approach. We are 100% paperless mission. This time what we did, all our assessments are digital. Like we have a database of all the cities for capturing the data. So how the assessor has gone, assessor has taken the photograph, they have recorded the with the consent, definitely with the consent of the interviewer, they have recorded, and everything is on our portal. And we are opening this for the cities also. When we rank cities, then the natural question arises, how did you come at this marks, and how did you come at this level? So now this time what we have decided, we will open everything to the cities, so that they should know what are my weak areas, what are my strengths, So that kind of system which is there. And the assessment agencies, everything is, it's all intertwined between the ministry and the assessment agency. Like ministry made the protocols, standard protocols. Assessment agency is just adopting what kind of questionnaire they are designing the questionnaire from on the basis of the protocol, what kind of question to be asked. So there is a big role of the assessment agency. And the digital connect. So what we have since last 4-5 years we are doing now, again we are in the process of recording how the city was looking, that area was looking 3 years ago, and how it is moving. We are in that process also. Like suppose last year what has happened, the place, how it looks, all records are with us. Right now it is not in a proper format, so this time what we are doing, we are recording everything and we see how the city is progressing. So that kind of, and all kind of analytics we have, and we want to open everything, all the data to the public domain also. Our all systems are in open source. So these are the things, and the assessment agencies is really doing a good job for us and for this social sector scheme. Dr. Pooja was talking about this behavior change. The Swachh Bharat Mission itself is the largest behavior change program. So a lot of initiative we take for behavior change. Nowadays, the sense of like we should not throw. Earlier, we were not having the sense. People was just throwing paper. Suppose moving in the car, they're just toffee wrapper on the on the road. But now that kind of sense has come. They don't throw, even they keep in their pocket, and whenever they get the nearest dustbin, they throw it. That sense has come. So but still there is a lot of thing we have to do, and we are always open for all kind of new suggestions, and we are very flexible in adopting new solutions, new technology, what can bring us. So this is from my side about the role of Swachh Bharat Mission and the assessment agencies. Thank you, Pariya.
So what you understand, it's a brilliant combination of our traditional work as well as a huge implementation of technology in different forms, be it in the forms of images or digital or recording or the website where people can upload things, can see things. Everything is on a seamless manner. So that's again a very interesting part, or a kind of stream of our industry. I'd like to ask Devida, in the context of Devida, thanks, you are back. In this context of the research is blending a lot of new age technologies, which is like pure IT telecom technology, digital, and all those kind of new age things like research tech, as you call it, or social media, or analytics for that matter, which requires a very specific knowledge. You would have seen that thing evolving. How, in your opinion, this entire evolution from a pure traditional research to today, where it has a lot to do with different data points, technology, analytics, etc. How do you feel this evolution has helped doing our job better, addressing the issues better? Are we more equipped, more capable of answering or addressing the challenges of our clients today? What's your opinion, Devita?
As I mentioned earlier, and in fact, Alka also mentioned, I think Pooja also mentioned, I'm calling you by first names because I'm 76 years old. You see, there are, one is, you get know to what is happening, and that what can be analyzed by various computer methods, various things, and you can get a lot of information from just analysis of such data. But then what is more important is why. That why part has to be much more accepted and detailed in each project that is awarded to any agency. It's not enough to say that this is happening. It is a must say that why is something happening, why it is happening. So that why part is something which, through either FGDs or face-to-face. You see, these days face-to-face is always computerized. You have some laptop or something you are carrying, so data is immediately captured, and data can be immediately seen as whether it's correct or not by immediate analysis. So in fact, some of the projects where you have to give the photograph of the person being interviewed so that you are sure that you have done the work. I'm sorry to state that many work the research agencies do in the field, and the field people are very poorly paid. We must accept that. And if that is so, there will be a tendency of cutting in the edges. So things are improving, definitely things are improving, but there is a lot more to go before we have a situation where you can say, oh yes, this is the reason that is happening. This is why that we must do something. Initially I thought I'll tell you about my NGO. I have adopted 2 villages because I believe in holistic development rather than piecemeal development like health or nutrition, etc. And we started with a discussion with all the so-called beneficiaries, and we had this a town hall kind of a situation where we got their feedback and then we implemented it. You see, I am not sure whether in all cases the beneficiaries have to be involved in a big way to design a project. You see, that is what my feeling is. That is how we should proceed. Involve the people you are going to develop. Let them understand why you are doing what you are doing. Find out why they are not doing what they are supposed to do, and then design your program, including communication.
Thank you, sir. It's really a golden suggestion and guidance, because at the end of the day, if we don't involve the people whose life is going to get impacted, obviously the design will have its own gaps and the flaws. Let me ask with Dr. Vijay Shekhar in this context. Your field is probably lucky to have huge number of large-scale projects happening around. I mean, health and nutrition as we have one is NFHS kind of data, which is there for decades. We have things like CNS. You have several others, but I'm sure there will be situations where you feel still there is something missing. And that is probably where, as the industry, the research and insight industry can play a more enhanced role. Do you feel something like that? Do you at times miss some insights not there, though there are tons of data around you?
I think we've come a long way, definitely, in terms of our access to good data, right? I mean, we were struggling, I would say, for a few years, till many years ago, in terms of just having access to data. The fact that there is data available today, absolutely. Is it good data? For the most part. Is it helpful? Absolutely, right? I mean, I think it would be amiss to sort of, discount all the good work that's happening on the data side, because it's really helping us tailor, address issues, with some information without, I mean, it's not as if we're starting from scratch. And also some bit of progression, like you can see how over a period of time some of these things are evolving. Mr. Das was talking about the Swachh Sarvekshan survey, and you can actually look at, and I'm thinking in my head, if you had visualizations of how cities have progressed over many years in terms of cleanliness, for example, right? That tells its own story. And then you say, oh, we've come so far, we can't regress, right? So those are very good enablers. And I think data is doing a good job there. What is missing, if at all, is I I don't think we get a whole lot of gender disaggregated data. When data is at a level of, abstraction where you're able to get good information from it, you're able to get some insight as well, but you're not necessarily able to sort of segregate communities that are impacted. So, I know one example where we were looking at infant mortality data. I think it was for one of the states, I will not name it. And we saw that, hey, it seems to be consistent at a particular number. So, at that level of abstraction, that level of data, it said, okay, it's sticking at this number. It's not reduced, but hey, the good thing is it's not gone up. Maybe we're doing some things right. But then we got an opportunity to go a level deeper. And what that told us was that the infant mortality rate for boys had actually improved. It had reduced. But for girls, it had increased. So suddenly now you're looking at a problem very differently. You have a different version of the problem to solve, which, earlier you weren't even aware of because you did not have that level of granularity. So I think it is important for us to question the data and insights as well, to sort of go deeper, so that you're able to get the what's and the whys, more in a manner that is more speaks to the audience and the problem. And sometimes just looking at the numbers is not, good enough. So getting those levels of
That is
pieces, and you talk about digital access, for example,
right.
right? Everybody's got mobile access in the villages, youth. But the minute you sort of go down and you say, hey, the boys have more digital access than the girls, unless and until you get that gender disaggregated data, you might not be able to sort of draw some of those conclusions and then design your programs accordingly. So I think some bit of that is still work in progress.
Granularity of the data, because that's critical. Not only having the high level data that will give some train, but the granularity of the great data finally gives us actionable insights. Very nice point. And I'd like to have Mr. Sarkar's view on that. I'm sure in government you would have come across lots of data, internal data and different course data. And as we know, a lot of that data is actually little high level, little poor, and not really granular. So I'm sure sometimes data, your long career, data will have helped you in taking very correct, specific decisions, and you are happy about that decision. And at times you may be struggling, and then, you are feeling like you wish there were some more data or some more insights. Can you share some of these insights or experience of yours in the public sector with us?
Yeah, certainly. See, first of all, regarding what went well so far as the data agencies are concerned, say I was responsible for a communication campaign on behalf of the state unit of the Election Commission of India. So this was basically for increasing voters' participation. So we commissioned a KAP study, and the study gave us a lot of insights, even granularity, the gender disaggregated and all this kind of, and especially the youth, their participation in vote, their KP. So all those things came out, and based on that, we could fine tune our communication strategy and increase voting percentage. So that's one example. The second example, say I'm talking about again, sanitation is something which is very close to my heart as well. So what happened is that we have IMIS, every single data is included over there. But when we found the national annual rural sanitation survey, so in that annual rural sanitation survey, a lot of field insights came. In fact, what we did, it's basically those who implement the program, they have entered data. So there are kind of instances of biases and all those things. But when someone from the research agency or people from the research agency, they went to the field, they observed the status of cleanliness, usage of toilets and all those things, and also interacted with the community, a lot of nuances came out. So that nuances helped us in kind of making certain course corrections into our sanitation action. So these are the two positive instances. If you talk about one particular area where I thought that data is awfully inadequate, again in relation to sanitation, because the entire sanitation movement is very hard driven from the top with a very specific time schedule by which we have to achieve. So often the quality was compromised. The toilet, everybody hammered to our head that we'll have to achieve ODF within a particular span of time, period of time. So while doing that, the field functionaries often lost sight of the quality. And so a lot of impurities in construction crept in. Now, when we are in phase 2 of the sanitation movement, Swachh Bharat mission, so there naturally what happened, we are supposed to, the government is supposed to ensure sustainability. But how that sustainability can be ensured until and unless we are sure about how many toilets are usable. Our hunch says that it's somewhere in the range of 30% to 50%, where the toilets are faultily constructed. So a lot of retrofitting requirement is there, but there is no data at all. There is no granular data to show you which toilets need retrofitting. So these are all based on hunches. So this is a particular area probably where a lot of, and since Alka is also here, Alka, we worked together at some point of time. I was in Guwahati MSF. So naturally, I urge upon Alka also to drive home this particular fact, probably on the requirement of retrofitting, on the status of toilets constructed. What is the status? So that probably needs a strong attention of the Swachh Bharat mission authorities. So these are some of the examples.
Great. Thanks for this insight. I mean, it once again talks about the need of high-level data and granular data, hard data with soft data. With all these combinations, it ends up giving us better insights and better actionable insights. I'd like to now come to Alka Malhotra, and a question I'm reserving for you for quite some time, which is the last 2 years in our life. The COVID has really, like somebody said, just press a reset button in our life. And for some of the programs that you are leading in the social development sector, it is really so. It is maybe people like us, we are less affected, but people for whom those programs are running, the challenges are far more. So I'm sure when the COVID, came in, and then we couldn't do your preferred way of doing research, couldn't do a lot of things, a lot of regular sources of insights, be it research, be it otherwise, would have stopped. And that time, everybody was looking out for more information, which was missing. I'm sure that was the case for your programs as well. You needed probably some more agile solutions, not a traditional, something which is a combination of tradition and technology. How do you think during that period the industry lived up to that need of our clients at that point in time? Could you really, as an industry, could you really, express and really demonstrated our ability to provide that kind of a solution which was required at that time? What do you?
Thanks. That's a valid point of view to have in terms of what we've learned in the last 2 years. And we have very clearly understood that one needs to be agile in a situation where you are remote, you're cut off, and you still need insights, because a lot depends on what people know. And this was completely new, because we seem to know a little bit about some of the traditional health emergencies, but this was an entirely new ball game. So I think the way that there were a couple of things that came out very strongly from the industry side, and I have to say that a very good demonstration of agility was seen, at least in my experience. One was the openness to adopt new methods of reaching people. So one of the global experiences that we had was the rapid digit dialing system, the RDD system, wherein you can really randomize, because you just call people in a random method, and the system throws up a 10-digit number. You call the number, it works, it doesn't work. So in order to ensure randomization, the organizations that we worked with were open to understand what RDD was all about and adopt it very quickly for randomized methods of engaging with people and getting feedback, telephonic feedback, of course. The second part that really was very well demonstrated was available databases. So a lot of the research agencies had developed over time databases which they had consent from users, so they could use those databases. And we had a couple of pro bono partnerships wherein we drew upon those databases to get information from people. And of course, so pro bono, available databases, new technologies, new ways of getting business. And one very interesting and innovative thing that we ultimately did do and currently are also deploying is using qualitative, open-ended questionnaires using the telephonic method of data collection. So we had these, we're still calling it offline social listening, where we are actually making qualitative, gathering qualitative data using remote methods such as telephone calls. That said, there were a couple of learnings, and I think they're very, very important. A point that Pooja alluded to about disaggregation and availability of getting the women's voices, because oftentimes in telephonic data collection, the telephone is held by the male member of the family, and we do not get women's voices. So their opinions, their points of view, and what we did in order to overcome this, and something that we have to be cognizant of, is to have quotas. So we had quotas for urban, quotas for women, quotas for rural population, quotas for different socioeconomic groups, because sometimes you just don't get enough representation if you're going by this mass method of the telephone penetration. So that was one. The second was really about the ability of the technique, which is the method of telephonic data, to be to gather information, because people have a very short attention span when you're talking to somebody on the phone. So we had to keep our survey instruments, our researches short, to the point, no more than 10 questions, no more than 5-7 minutes of an engagement, because you know that somebody will just disconnect the phone on you and will just keep answering with a yes, 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 and not bother to pay attention. So keeping one learning was we can be frequent, but we need to be short. We need to have quotas so that we can get enough people to actually be able to respond. And we need to have databases, because if we want to really randomize, we cannot do it if we don't know where the people are and where they are exist, which of course is about ethics. Then if we do gather databases of people with phone numbers and with identifiers, we cannot use and misuse that information. So ethics of research becomes very, very important. Yeah, because it's user data. It is issues that you may not want to jeopardize somebody with. Issues around violence. We did not have any questions around violence, because when you're making calls and you're asking somebody about an oppressor in a home environment, you do not want the person to relive the experience, besides, of course, the fear of being exposed. So there were these big issues and big learnings around ethics of research in remote data collection. And I stop.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. I wish I could continue long. It's such an enriching discussion that we are happening here. But we are actually running short bit of a time, and our contestants were waiting anxiously to know who's the winner, and out of those three great finalists that we had. So I think we should close it now. And thank you very much on behalf of MRSI, let me thank you all for the insights that you have shared today. We have quite a few things to take pride on. We are doing good as an industry. We are contributing. At the same time, each one of you have also told us that there are areas where we have to pull up our socks and do something better, something different, something faster, something more to really meet the evolved need of our clients. Great, and we look forward to working towards that within the industry and together with you. Thank you once again. Let's close the discussion here, but please be there so that you can also see who are the winners. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists. It was certainly a hot, inspiring discussion, and we do hope that as an industry, we are able to collaborate with you more and take this discussion and this agenda to our next level. So I wish to thank Mr. Devi Vasu, Shri Vinay Jha, Shri Devendra Sarkar, Ms. Kalpa Malhotra, and Dr. Pooja Saigal for joining us today in this discussion, and certainly Parijat for steering this insightful discussion. Well, we'll move on to the next segment now. TCP, we have been working on TCP for the last couple of months. And I'm very personally, I was personally very much involved with each of the participants. I got to work with you all so directly. To say that I have been in the industry for many years, but the passion that you people brought during this project, the way you worked, the way you found your ways in terms of tackling the issues, and even during COVID times, when you had challenges meeting the respondents, is something that I look back and said, oh, wish I could do that years ago. So at one level, I want to thank you personally for taking that passion to me to say that I can do more if I want to do more. So congratulations to you all for making TCP what it is today. It was a diverse topic. There were different topics. Not everybody knows what the other presentations did or what the other researchers did. So I'm going to give you a quick run through in terms of the participants and what cause did they fight for, what cause they took. Starting with the first one, Aparajit Kalyani and Sachi Asthana who are here with us from Dragonfly Consumer Insights Limited. They took up the cause of impact of COVID-19 on vulnerable community, upliftment of disadvantaged communities in Naida, a rural area in Maharashtra for NGO human welfare charitable trust. And we had Gangotri that from Ipsos, Gangotri, who took up the cause of preventive and proactive action against child abuse for NGO Sakshi. We have Ananya Jha and Harsha, Anya Senduta and Harsha Jha, who could not join us today, but they are surely watching us online. Hi Ananya, hi Harsha, are from DataWise, who took up driving road safety measures for the youth in Bihar for the NGO Sakal Jyoti. Radhika Maheshwari Radhika from Brandscapes Worldwide, who took up women empowerment, providing sustainable livelihood to marginalized women community through skill building for NGO Tara. Then we have Siddharth. Hi Siddharth Naik from Brandscapes, who took up a different cause, which is environmental and climate change, impact of waste management for NGO Finnish society. And last but not the least, Simran from Nielsen IQ, who took up gender equality, improving the livelihood of fisherfolk community in coastal and NGO Mahila Margadarshi. Thank you all, and congratulations to every participant here. The participation or the competition was judged by an eminent jury panel. The eminent jury panel was Parijat Chakrabarti, whom we have seen now. Thanks, Parijat. Rohini Paul, Senior Consultant CSR at Cantar, who is not in the room today, but she's still online. So, hi, Rohini, thank you so much. Karan Sabnis, an ex-winner of TCP 2018, the first winner of TCP 2018, who is now the Global Assistant CMI Manager of Screen at Unilever, India. And thank you for all the three of you for being a part of our TCP 2022. The jury process was supported by Ranko Chakravarti from DataWise and Natalie Chauhan, Director General MRSI, especially in cases where the jury panel member had to recuse themselves. So we had people from Ipsos, Arija from Ipsos and Ranko from DataWise, and we also had participants from the same company. I would now call upon Karan to please give us a few words, say a few words about your experience as a jury panel.
Thank you, Sonali. And hi, everyone. I'm going to start talking a little bit about my TCP journey. So it was back in 2018. I, as a person, I really like learning more about, understanding people and culture. And a part of me also really likes to go out there, help communities, societies. And that's how I've been a part of market research industry. And I've also worked with a couple of NGOs over weekends and all of that. Or, sometimes early in the morning, work with teaching, make a difference, these kind of NGOs. And TCP was like one place where I saw both of them intersect. That's what made me one of the initial participants of TCP back in 2018. My TCP journey has been pretty unique that way because back in 2018 I was a participant from that to becoming a judge this year, along with eminent members like Pamjat and Rohini Paul, who brought their expertise, their subject matter expertise, their knowledge, well-rounded, and a lot of different kind of thinking. I think it was really nice, and it was like a big honor for me to be a part of this jury panel this year. Yeah, so that's been like a fantastic experience. Talking about you guys, the participants, I think I was really amazed with the amount of the work that you put in, your processes, your approach, the confidence with which you presented. All of that was really mind blowing. So congratulations to you guys. It was really great to be a part of this. What I think is really the cherry on the cake essentially this was that your NGOs was a part of the presentation. So I think I really saw a lot of NGOs really think about it, really actioning those insights that you guys gave them during the presentation itself, which was I think really mind-blowing. So that's really commendable. Lastly, you will see often jury members or judges saying that all of you are winners and all of it, okay? But I'm being very honest. The kind of things that you brought to the table, all you guys are truly winners, and I really want a huge round of applause for you guys. You've done a great job. So congratulations to each one of you. Just keep that in mind, and I'm honestly saying this. With that, I think I'll end my bit and over to you, Sonali. Congratulations and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Karan. I think the tempo is building up. So without much ado, we'll call upon our committee chair, Daniel, to begin the award segment.
Thank you, Sonali. This year was an exceptional one in terms of the number and quality of submissions made for TCP, which, as you know, started in 2018. And it was indeed hard for the jury to decide upon the finalists. But the competition has no value if there is no winner. It was a difficult choice, and so there was a lot of deliberation after which we came up with 3 finalists from among the various participants for TCP 2022. So, and now we'll begin the award segment of today's event with a special call out and commendation to the 3 talented participants / teams who were remarkable in their passion, their commitment, and the quality of research demonstrated in their submissions. The first commendation award goes to Ananya Sengupta and Harsha Jha from DataWise Management Consultants India Private Limited for their exceptional work on addressing ways to effectively communicate safe driving, especially amongst the youth in Bihar, where road accidents are the #1 killer of teens. Unfortunately, they were not able to join us today. So many congratulations to Ananya and Harsha, and I request Karan to receive a certificate on their behalf. I hope you're watching out there. The second commendation award goes to Radhika Maheshwari from Landscapes Worldwide, who emphasizes her work on empowering marginalized women communities through skill building and providing sustainable livelihood to them. Many congratulations to you, Radhika. Last but not the least, Siddharth Nair from Landscapes, who addressed a very topical matter, that is waste management, by way of raising consciousness of the effects of waste on human health, the environment, planetary resources, and aesthetics. Many congratulations to you, Siddharth. I'm happy to see most of the panelists today in the discussion were talking about that. And now, all the finalists, please come on stage. Aparajita Kalyani and Sachi Asthana from Dragonfly, Gangotri from Ipsos, and Simran from Nielsen IQ. Please come to the center stage. Rani, over to you.
So how are you feeling, guys? Okay. To give the first award to the first, announce the first finalist, may I have Karan on stage, please? Hello. The first I
And the first finalist is.
Is? Any guesses? Okay.
Too much of it, and not a lot of time. It is Gangotri Das.
Can we play the AV for Gangotri's project? So Gangotri,
Truly exciting, and I would like to thank you. Thank you for all your support, and thank you. In Ipsos, also within the teams, like there are our support engagement has a lot, but kind of turning out the things so quickly, like from people to the team. And I would also like to thank my mentor who actually gave a very good suggestions during when I was initiating the process till the end of the presenting. I would like to thank you also here. And thank you, Pariyat sir. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, I'm Gangotri, currently working as a researcher at Ipsos in India. For this community program 2022, I partner with Saksi NGO. This research focused on understanding the factors that need to be considered for any intervention addressing child sexual abuse.
But sadly, in India, every second child is a victim of child sexual abuse.
Towards this cause, Saksi, through its innovative Rakshan project, aims to build skills of youth to address child sexual abuse within families and communities.
To understand effectiveness of Rakshan webinar, policy experimental design was adopted. Views and stakeholder interactions, a framework of preventive action for child sexual abuse was developed.
Ipsos partnership through TCP came at the right time, and the research findings have been very helpful.
I call upon Parijat to announce the second finalist. Parijat, for the build-up further.
Oh, I don't have any of the names. Okay, so the next one goes to you for a great project on gender equality. And it is Simran from Britain. That is actually a masterpiece for that matter, improving the livelihood of fisher folk community in coastal Andhra Pradesh. And she worked with Mahila Margdarshi as an NGO. And great work. Congratulations. Over to you. Over to you, Sonali.
I would now like to invite Rajesh Chakraborty, our event partner. Can we please play the video for Simran's project?
Hi, I'm Simran and I'm a researcher at Nielsen IQ since the past 2.5 years. If I had to describe myself, I would say I'm a learner, dreamer, and on a mission to explore the world. When I heard about TCP, my instant reaction was, of course I'm going to participate. The inner researcher in me just got super excited to learn something new and venture into a new terrain, while the inner social ally / traveler in me found this as the perfect opportunity to use my skills to make an impact. My project, in partnership with the NGO Mahila Margdarshi, was aimed at improving the livelihood of the fisherfolk community in an effort
Due to glitch, we can just say few words about the project. Would you like to say something?
Sure.
How was your experience working on TCP?
It was
What were your challenges? What did you find interesting?
Thank you, Sonali. So like Gary mentioned, I'm also a person who's much into the social causes. And when I saw TCP being organized in 2022, it was a perfect chance to, merge what I do professionally and, combine it with something that I so passionately believe in. And that's what, drove me to participate. And the NGO that I represented in this project was Mahila Margdarshi really supported me towards every step of the way. And I really want to thank them for the great work that they do for the community in Andhra Pradesh. And also, of course, Deepthi, thank you. Prashant, thank you so much for allowing me to, participate, giving me the motivation and guidance to the journey. And my mentor, Sandeep, for always being there when I need them. So thank you so much. It's been lovely.
May I invite Rajesh from Nielsen, our event partner, to give awards, to give the award for the winner of TCP 2022. Yes.
There won't be too much time. I also wanted to participate. I'm not young. Only way we get it up is yeah. Aparishka Kalyani and Sapchistana from Paris. And I guess you guys are also representing India for some time. There's something that's happening with research about that next month. You are.
Yes. Okay, you guys are also.
You are. You didn't know this. Are you acting?
You're really sure.
Curtain door will be open. Next row, please. Yes, you was proud. I guess we got one winner here. No. I'm very bad at this. I didn't start all over again. One winner here, and somebody represented there. Okay, Siddharth. But congratulations, guys, and please do us proud.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We will. Thank you.
And all the best for it.
Thank you. Yeah. No, we play the video.
Can we play? Yeah.
That's the standard protocol.
Invisible, ignored, taken for granted. These are terms nobody would wish to associate themselves with. But unfortunately, we have made migrants who contribute to the effective functioning of our city feel like second-rate citizens.
It took a pandemic for us to recognize them and the harsh impact COVID has had on them. Human Welfare Charitable Trust has embarked on a journey to improve the lives of the disadvantaged migrants through its center in Naigaon. But now the key question was how to do so.
And this is where qualitative research came into play. While men work hard to make ends meet, there is scope for the women to step up and contribute as they are away from their village and have fewer responsibilities. However, the deep-rooted conditioning of gender roles makes them feel disempowered. Through our findings, we have identified skilling as the unlock to break the barrier, as it has a domino effect. It will bring in work, money, and will eventually lead to a positive impact on their life.
We believe that our approach, which is akin to a model, can be scaled up to other migrant hubs, as empowering the women can empower the community, and this can bring a real change in making the migrants be heard.
Thank you. Congratulations to the winners and everyone. I'm Diana, and on behalf of MSI, I would like to express a deep gratitude to everyone who has been involved in making this initiative a success. Starting with the committee, chaired by Ramko and Rajat. We can unlimited important time to spend with committee planners. We have our Julie, Karan, and Rini. If you are with us, thank you so much for all the. I'm sure you had a very difficult job to do, but you've done it so well. And then we have been honored to host the panel with our guest speakers, and not sure if they are with us, but it's been really inspiring for all of us. The event has been brought to all of you by the social media. We have the representative here. You have been an awesome sponsor. Thank you for believing in us and the cause. And of course, a round of applause for all the staff and your NGOs. You proved that this is not just competition. You showed real and dedication towards social cause and making impact to people like me. Thank you to everyone who's been present here and online. Thank you for giving the time for us and being with us. And I will do injustice if I'm not saying thank you to my team, to in the backbone and the support partners, Sutra and Outright, who made sure that this reaches to you all and make the day happen. So thank you again to one and all. We wish you a great evening to all of you and see you at TCP 2023. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you so much. That's very exciting. Thank you. Do you do practice?